going on, everybody's gains? Now, today I actually want to talk about probably a little polarizing topic, but I wanted to talk about backwards compatibility. And if we're being greedy by asking the PlayStation 5 and the new Xbox Series X to be 100% backwards compatible, for the PlayStation, that obviously would be from the PS5 all the way down to the PS1. And for the Xbox Series X would be from the Xbox One to the 360 to the Xbox. If I miss one, sue me, but you know what I mean. It's funny because obviously when you first ask that, everyone's initial response is no. Like, I'm the customer, I want to be able to play all my games on one console. And that was kind of my thoughts as well, especially with the PS5. But as I got to thinking about it, I was like, well, let's kind of weigh both sides here, the customer side and the, I guess, developer side, which would be Sony and Xbox, or Microsoft in this case. So it made me think. I was like, okay, well, as a consumer, why do I want 100% backwards compatibility? And I said, well, laziness for the number one aspect. I know myself. I have the PlayStation 1, I have the PlayStation 2, I have the 3, I have the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 4 Pro, and I will be getting the PlayStation 5 as well. Not 100% sure if I'm going to get the digital or the one with the Blu-ray drive. It's going to depend on, what packages they're offering or what the price point is for both. So until they release that, I don't know which one I'm getting. So I was like, well, yeah, if the PS5 came out, I wanted 100% backwards compatible, because lazy. And then I said, well, I own all those systems. My PS3, for instance, is the Fat Edition. It's the 60 gig day one edition, which is 100% backwards compatible with the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1. So if I wanted to play PS2, PS1, or PS3 games, I could just hook up my PS3. If I wanted to play PS4 games, then I could hook up the PS4. And if I want to play PS5, I just have the PS5 hooked up, I guess. They all take HDMI cables, so not much to switch there. I believe the power cord for the 3 and the 4 are interchangeable, so not much to switch out there. Don't know what the power cord is going to look like for the 5 right now, but I would assume it's probably the same type of power cord. So then I looked at it from a developer side, to where we always ask for backwards compatibility, but I don't think we really care, probably mostly, or think about how much work it is to actually make those things 100% backwards compatible. Like, especially if you want to do it from a hardware perspective, because if they do err to the side of emulation, then they have to go out and relicense all those games again in order to make it work, since they were only given licenses for the hardware portion of it to put it on a disc. For some reason, if they try to do emulation, then that license doesn't count for that, which is why you have the issues with getting certain games on the little PlayStation Classic they did, things like the Super Nintendo Classic and the Nintendo Classic, things like that. That's why certain games aren't on there, is because they were only licensed for that physical copy. So when you bring in emulation, that's seen as almost a new release, which needs a whole new license apparently. So in order for them to do 100%, they would have to somehow combine the hardware for the PS5, put in the hardware for the PS4, which probably isn't too difficult for those two, since they were both kind of, I guess, Blu-ray, but it could be difficult just going to the 4. The PS3 is regarded as one of the most difficult systems to develop for, so I can only imagine how hard it would be to put the PS3 guts inside of there as well, so that it could read PS3 games. And then you have the PS2 and also the PS1. So I can see that would be an engineering nightmare. Not saying it's impossible, but saying that it would take a lot of thought, a lot of man hours, and a lot of engineering in order to make it happen. And then they have to look at it like, okay, we're doing all this work, but why? What are we offsetting? We're offsetting people who just want to play everything on one console. but yet they've probably already bought the other consoles as well. So, why don't they just use those? And most people say, well, I want to put my console up when a new one comes out. Well, credit to the developers, they don't ever tell you it's going to be backwards compatible, and then it launches and all of a sudden it's not. And I don't mean that by saying like months away from launch they say it's backwards compatible, and then day one it drops and it's not. If they are going to change it to where it's not, you'll know about it before it actually comes out, which should give you time to decide, well, I can't put up my old console. Now, I know for me personally, I never put up any of my consoles, but even if you did put up your console, like, unless for some odd reason you're putting it in some like far off storage to where you have to go hop in your car and drive over to get to it, it's going to take you like maybe 5-10 minutes tops to grab your old console and hook it up and play whatever it is you're trying to play that maybe not supported with this next generation of console. So for you to say, well, 5-10 minutes is too much, especially for things that you're not playing every day, I would say that the percentage of people who play those old games every day is extremely small. Most people probably are like myself, to where, yeah, we play older games, but it's kind of when you get that feeling. It's not an everyday thing, but every once in a while, you're sitting around and you're like, man, I feel like playing such and such. And if if the new system doesn't support it, then you just got to crack out that old system. You play it for a while, and then you end up, not playing again for quite a while. So it's like, well, should they really have to go through all that time and effort just to save you the slight inconvenience of having to hook up an older console to play an old game when you get that itch? It's, and then they're going to charge you for it. They're not going to put in all that time and then not mark up the system to account for all those extra hours and, all the extra headache in order to make it happen. So at the end of it, would it actually be worth it? Would you rather pay an extra $200 or so for them to implement 100% backwards compatibility? Is $200 worth you not having to hook up a system? Those are little things to think about. So when I looked at it from that view, like, you know what? Yeah, I can kind of see why they wouldn't do 100% backwards compatibility. But then again, I mean, whenever it's the customer really doesn't care about those things. We want what we want, and we want the convenience aspect of it. Convenience really always is what wins out. It could be to where the PS5 actually utilizes the same power cord, same HDMI cable, and all you would have to do is just plug the ones out of the PS4 into the PS5, and it would still be too much for some people. So from a developer side, I can see like, yeah, we're not going to invest all that time just so you guys don't spend an extra 5 or 10 minutes whenever you get the itch to play some old game. It's just not viable to them. So with that being said, like, is there anything I might have missed? I know there's obviously hardcore people out there who play old games all the time. If that's the case, then, I'm sure your systems are already hooked up. Maybe you already have 2 or 3 hooked up, and it would actually, kind of clear up some space in your entertainment center, or just clear up some space, in your room, if you could just use one for all of them. So I could see that, but like I said, it seems to be more convenience than an actual functionality thing. Because if you have those old games, you're going to have the system, unless you traded it in GameStop or something like that. But for the most part, you're going to have those systems. But like I said, maybe I missed something. If I did, go ahead and shoot it down in the comments. Be glad to discuss it with people. But with that being said, please like and subscribe. You know the drill, you know the procedure. And I'm out.